Welcome back. It's a book creating a lot of buzz among women. The book 50 Shades of Grey is an erotic romance novel that is growing in popularity. But getting your hands on a copy in Kern County may be difficult. 17's Victoria Spilabati joins us in studio with more. Victoria?
Maddie, the local library says it has a waiting list 100 people long for 50 Shades of Grey, and those who have read it say they just can't put it down. It's the latest series creating a stir among women. The book, 50 Shades of Grey, is classified as an erotic romance novel.
I would read all night. I would take it to work with me, read on my lunch and break, and I couldn't put it down.
The graphic novel is about the relationship between a businessman and a young female student. It details their erotic relationship, a topic some are too shy to talk about.
A stigma that you're not supposed to be into the subject matter, and so it's wrong to actually be excited about reading this book.
But people are excited about reading it and don't expect to find it at the local library. 100 people in Kern County are on the waiting list to get their hands on the book.
There are just books that spark interest, and you never know what book that might be that just sparks the public interest.
While some libraries across the country have banned the book, the Kern County Library is ordering more copies.
Kern County is part of a San Joaquin Valley library system. That's 9 jurisdictions from Kern County all the way up to Merced County. And there are 500 holds on the book for the San Joaquin Valley library system.
The first book in the series was published a year ago and quickly climbed to the top of the New York Times bestsellers list. It's only grown in popularity, spreading by word of mouth.
I'm reading it. I've told all my friends about it, told my sister, my stepmom. But it's also very well written. It leads you on a journey in their life, and you feel very close and like you know these people.
Some have criticized the book for being sexist. There is talk about a movie in the future and a big debate over which actors would fill those roles. Now we're going to send it over to Maddie with more.
All right, thank you very much, Victoria. Well, the bestseller written by E.L. James speaks to women's secret longing to be sexually dominated by a powerful and controlling man. Dr. Corey Gonzales joining us live in studio now with more about this book and the controversy behind it. Good morning. First of all, thanks for being in with us.
Good morning, Maddie.
Such an interesting topic. I think the first interesting part is erotic novels have been around for quite a while. Why is this one getting so much attention?
Well, they have been around for a while, and anytime we talk about female sexuality, obviously it's controversial, breaks tradition. It wasn't that long ago that, you know, sex was supposed to be looked at for procreation, a wifely duty, 6 years or so. And male and female sexuality is different. As we know, women tend to be more mental, more psychological when it comes to their sexuality. Males are more visual and physical. Now, this novel has obviously taken the next level and pushed the boundary on people's comfort level.
And what does it say about women's sexuality and the evolution there? I mean, as you were saying, you know, it wasn't too long ago, it wasn't talked about at all. Is this empowering, or is it kind of the opposite because it talks about a relationship where a woman is dominated by a man?
Well, it depends on the women. Now, I think one of the reasons it's controversial is because it's eroticizing unequal relationships and power relationships. You guys were just talking earlier about an employee being sexually aroused by her boss. Well, there's a lot of people been hurt by power relationships, sexual abuse from parents and so forth. That's why it's controversial. However, I think for a lot of females, there's, you know, we're sort of, our DNA, or we're genetically wired to gravitate or be attracted to power. Because if you look at natural selection and what happened way back in evolutionary times is that females sought out men that were strong and powerful to try to enhance the health of their gene pool. So it's tapping into some real primal stuff.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see, and it's kind of appealing to women across the board here of all different ages.
Well, it certainly can be. And the important thing to remember is fantasy is not necessarily a bad thing. It can be a healthy thing if it has a proper context and boundaries. Obviously, you have to have security in a relationship to feel comfortable talking about these things and really distinguish the difference between fantasy and reality. And fantasy can be a good escape for people to deal, you know, the difficulties of life, to sort of, you know, get a break from that. And certainly there are a lot of women playing various roles now as far as caretaking for children, you know, running the household, working, doing all these other things, and women need remedies as well.
Now, on that subject of how far do you take the fantasy, I've heard both opinions here. Can this help women's marriages and sex lives, relationships? you know, by adding this kind of aspect of fantasy, or could it do the opposite by setting up like too high expectations?
Well, if done in the proper context, it can help. You know, the way to a woman's libido a lot of times is through her mind. And if a man is secure in his relationship with his wife, there's trust, doesn't feel threatened by the stuff, and is kept in a certain context, you know, sometimes it can work as a good aphrodisiac or foreplay to help sort of ignite that pilot light in the bedroom. But again, if there's not that security in the relationship, these things are going to be looked at as a threat. So security and trust are really a big part of, you know, experimenting with any of this kind of stuff.
All right, well, Dr. Corey Gonzales, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. This is certainly a hot topic that seems to just be getting hotter right now.
Women are certainly responding to this, and it's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Maddie.
All right, thank you so much. We'll be right back with a check of our top stories.